Hey there, everybody. Welcome to a special edition of Harris's Heroes. This is a place where I love to have conversations with people who have overcome life's challenges, anything that the world and life has thrown at them, and they found ways to overcome them, and they're willing to share what they've learned with the rest of the world to help make a way easier for someone else down the road. And this time around, it's special edition for me because we're coming up on the anniversary of an event that put me in this chair, in this room, in this place with you. And I thought it would be good instead of me talking to a stranger. I wanted to just basically have someone talk to me to share with you what this past year has been like for me. And as you can see here on the screen, I've got my man, Dr. Jeremy Dublon, who is, full disclosure, my foot surgeon, but he's also, more importantly, my friend and producer. He's been the guy helping me put together this podcast for the past year. And I'm now going to have him wear a different hat this time around. Instead of him being the guy just working the keyboard and putting things together, he is actually going to be the one conducting this interview. So, Jeremy, take it away. It's all on you.
Thanks, Leon. Thanks for obviously doing this. When we met prior to starting this, I really hoped that this would turn into something inspirational for others, um,
hmm
so helpful to you as well. So, with that, how are you?
I am doing, I'm doing great. I'm doing well in a way that I never imagined I would have been a year ago. This past year, man, has been one of highs, lows, and lots of movement forward. You know, this time last year, if you'd asked me how I'm doing, I probably would not have had an answer. I would have had an answer that might have made a doctor worry. I was, I hadn't gone to rehab yet. I had an incident that caused me to lose my job. I was impaired while I was at work, and that was something that I'm still struggling with in terms of forgiving myself for putting myself in that position. But this time last year, I hadn't gone to rehab yet and hadn't begun the work of trying to get past that and then get on with repairing my life and everything else, my relationships, my ability to make a living, my marriage. I was really beginning a downhill slide this time last year. But I went through all that. And I went through the rehab and I went through the therapy. And today I can tell you I am in much better shape. Physically, I'm down to, getting rid of the alcohol. I'm now down to what I weighed in high school. I haven't been able to say that in 40 years. Health wise, I'm fine. Mentally, I've got much more clarity, which is both good and bad because I can see what I did. I can see what I was doing wrong. I can see where I was heading. And that doesn't, that sometimes makes it hard to sleep, but I can also see
Let me
what
ask,
I'm doing.
if you had to look at yourself and self-reflect on this journey of learning about if the book ultimately of your entire learning journey is 1,000 pages, how many pages do you think you would have read at this point?
To be perfectly honest with you, I probably wouldn't have gotten more than a tenth of the way through it.
You got learning to do, right?
I had a lot of learning to do. Here, Jeremy, the most important thing is I had to want to start learning. And this time last year, I didn't want to. What I did last year, and from like December of last year until through February of this year, I was still trying to come to grips with what was really making me me. Didn't want to be honest. I was still in the mode where I figured if I can just get everybody to just get off my back and fool them into thinking that I'm okay and that I don't have a problem and that I've got it under control, then I'll be able to get back to doing what I want to do. And that would have been just total self-destruction. But as it turned out, I've got blessed to have around me a community of people who wouldn't let me off the hook. I have friends who I found out were my real friends. That was one of the highs of the past year, was finding out who my real friends are. One of the lows, finding out how many people I thought were my real friends aren't. Let me tell you something, dude. One thing you don't want to do, and I'm writing about this in the book I hope to have out maybe by this time next year. I don't know. One thing you never want to do is find out that that you thought were your friends forgot that you were on that text chain
Oh boy.
and they kept talking
Oh,
and they kept
boy.
texting. So I got to see and see what friends, what I thought people who were my friends, what they were really saying about me behind my back. That was a real gut punch. And that was one of the things that really made me work even harder at saying, okay, stop playing this game. The only way you're going to get out of this hole, man, is to actually fix it. And so I then really started to want to get better and to get healthy. And that's the thing, man. I learned that from my experiences with meeting the people I met in rehab. There were some people I met in rehab who were there for their fourth, fifth, and sixth trips. But they were there for the same reason I was there, because they weren't ready to really do the work. And, I had a few incidents like that, and then really getting in touch with my children, and reinforcing my relationship with my children. That was one of the things that truly, truly inspired me to say, you know what, man, this time you really have got to do the work. You've got to be better. You've got to be somebody different. And I tell kids all the time when I talk to them at, commencements and stuff like that, that a good day is when you know something at 9 p.m. that you didn't know at 9 a.m.
Mhm.
That's a good day. That's a good day. And I decided to start taking my own medicine and taking my own advice. And so I started trying to find a way to get better and do something different every single day. And on top of that, man, try to find at least three things to be grateful for
Mhm.
every single day. Because one of the things that really has helped me, man, was just focusing on how blessed I am to be here, and blessed I am to have this help that's available and has been here all along. I just never reached out and embraced it. I just never used it. And so I've got a reason every single day to be grateful for having another chance to get my life together and get my health together and get my community together in a way that's going to make a real difference.
Yeah, good, good. What has this series taught you?
This series has taught me that there there are so many ways to overcome whatever you think is the worst thing that ever happened to you.
Mhm.
A year ago tomorrow, from the night we're sitting here talking, I had the worst thing that ever could have happened to me happen to me. And I had the and I found out that, a lot of people, and myself included, thought that I am the worst thing that I ever did. What this series has taught me is that no one is the worst thing that they ever did. No one has to be stuck in the worst hole that they've ever found themselves in. There are people that you and I have talked to who have had things happen to them that were 10 times worse than what happened to me.
Yeah.
Mine happened to me in public, which made it much more shameful, but not more painful than losing a child, losing a parent. There was no loss of life in my situation. Loss of prestige, loss of cachet, loss of a career, perhaps at least that one particular career. But all that did was open up doors to go into other areas. As I'm finding out, I'm just being amazed every single day. And one of the things I'm grateful for is how many other doors have been opening for me. Other people are coming up to me with ideas of different shows I can do, different projects I can get involved
Alright,
in, different things I can do entirely. And
but but
I'm
but but
grateful for that.
but part of that is you being willing to listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's a
That's
lot of people who in your situation, sure, they would've went to rehab and continue to go to rehab and therapy, but they do not pivot, and they do not see the blessing or the opportunity
no.
to do something else.
Well, it's because to get to that position that people like me had, you have to have ego to get there,
Yeah.
you know, and you have to have some ego to do it right,
You
and
ain't
that
talking to me.
exactly. And as a doctor, especially as a surgeon, where you got someone's life in your hands, a little ego is always going to be involved there, and sometimes that's a great tool to use. It's a fuel.
Mhm.
But a fuel can also catch fire, you know, if it's not controlled and if it's not used properly. And that's what happened with me. And I'm just going to speak for myself and not for anybody else that may be walking the same walk I am. But learning how to get your ego out of the way, man, that for me was maybe the most important thing ever. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's a really important lesson that I learned this past year.
Good, good. So, where are you going? What's next? How you do what's on the future? for you.
Well, as you know, I've got about 4 or 5 balls I'm juggling in the air at one time right now, and that's a great problem to have. Going forward, like I said, this year has been so crazy. It's been lows, it's been highs, but now I'm focusing on the forward. That's the movement I'm focusing on now. As you know, I'm working on writing a book, and that's part of my therapy, going through all of these different things because I'm now finding out things. I'm learning that things that I thought I had gotten over or weren't issues for me actually turned out to be things that caused me to do the things that I did and become the person I am and make the mistakes that I made and make the successes that I've made. So writing has helped me navigate through all that. And one of the things that's really been fascinating is finding out my relationship with my father coming full circle in a way that is stunning to me. And when I finish writing it, I'm sure it's going to stun the people who actually read this. I've got projects that people are pitching to me to do things on television. Again, don't know what's going to come of those things. They all look really fun and really interesting. They're different. They're not news like what I had been doing. So the kind of things I normally would not do, I'm willing to do and take a chance on doing now. And here's the main thing I'm trying to do right now, Jeremy. This may sound really ethereal, but one of the things that I've unraveled here is that I have never really been good at just finding joy in something. That's one of the things I envy my wife and kids for. They can find joy in anything. To me, I focused on the work and focused on providing things for them to have joy in. And now I'm at a stage in my life where it's become important for me to find mine. So in the process of healing and growing, I'm going to try to find out what's going to be the thing that brings me joy. I'm going to make the next 25 years a lot different and better and more joyful than the last 25 have been.
That's what I like to hear. And how will this series help you do that?
This series is going to help because number one, it encourages me. It builds me up and it forces me to keep my eyes and mind and heart focused on trying to find the good in the world. Always focusing on what's wrong and looking at problems that can derail you and it can derail me, at least I know for a fact, and make me pick up some unhealthy habits. But this series, I'm hoping, is going to be something that's going to help me heal and also provide something for people out there who may just need a little something positive for them today that's going to help them get over whatever hump they've got. I'll tell you one real quick example. I heard a conversation that touched me, and I'm going to start thinking about this on a regular basis. A guy who was talking about losing a son to overdose, and he talked about how just getting through that was just god awful, and I just can't imagine what that must be like. But he said something that just, for me, really put so much in perspective. Said having a loss like that is like having a broken leg that never really heals, and you can either quit walking or you can learn how to dance with a limp.
That's right.
That's what I hope to be able to do is to help people who are dealing with whatever it is that's holding them back or they think is hurting them. Try to help people find a way to dance with a limp. That's what I think is something that could make somebody's 9 p.m. better than their 9 a.m.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I think that's a perfect recap and catching everybody up. Anything else you want to add?
No, just stay tuned, folks. This project that we've got going here is just starting to gather some steam. So we got a lot of good things coming your way. And if you've got some ideas, folks, just reach out to me. I'll give you an email address where you can reach me. You can reach me at lharriscoms, COMMS, at gmail.com. Okay. L Harris Comms, that's for Leon Harris Communications. And if you got some ideas out there about, or you've got some people that you think we should talk to, or you want us to talk to you, shoot me an email and we'll see what we can make it happen. All right.
All right, Leon. Have a good one, buddy.
All right. Talk to you soon, man.
Thanks.